Okay, we're all set.
Okay. I will call to order this special meeting of the East Amwell Township Planning Board for March 9th, 2026. All rise for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this is a special meeting of the East Amwell Township Joint Planning and Zoning Board. A copy of the agenda for this meeting was posted on the municipal website, posted on the bulletin board, and filed in the clerk's office on February 26, 2026. It was also emailed to the Trenton Times and Star Ledger. Okay. Emily Detweiler.
Here.
Dante DePiro. Beth Hussein.
Here.
Matthew Kohut. Lance Lathan.
Here.
Michael McGovern.
Here.
Al Nardi. Rich Catenacci.
Here.
Candace Wiggum.
Here.
Pete Kineski.
Here.
Jason Reed.
Here.
Paul Payne.
Here.
Okay.
May I have a motion to open to the public?
So move.
Second. We are open to the public for items not on the agenda. Come on up. Yep, come on up. State your name and just, if you live in East Amwell, let us know that.
Sure. My name's Carmine DiFrancesco. I live at 45 Dutch Lane over here. The question is about the solar farm. Is that still on? Because I know that the meeting for that was canceled.
So we've not canceled the meeting for that. They do not have all their information, everything they need to us before we can actually hear the application. So once they get all the information to us, it will be noticed, and then we will have a hearing.
Okay,
So
and that,
it's still pending out there, but we don't have a date because we're waiting for the applicant.
okay, just one more question or two. That property that they own,
Yeah,
my understanding is that's in the overlay for the low income?
it's an affordable housing, yeah.
Right, but what they build there won't be affordable housing if the solar farm goes through, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and they don't own the other property?
I don't know.
Okay. Good? All right,
Yeah, that's basically all I know.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Without objection, we are closed to the public. Okay. So we are meeting in this special meeting to review, for a public hearing for an amended land use element, as well as after we presumably adopt that, then we will do a consistency review for two ordinances that were introduced by the township. It's a Monday, so it had to have been last week. Yep. So I will first ask Mike Davis to come on up.
Thank you.
Raise your right hand when you're ready. Swear that the testimony that you're about to give before this board is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And this board does not have all the background of why we adopted one land use element.
Correct.
Or,
I was going to start probably like back in last January,
Okay,
just
thank
with a brief overview. So my
Thank
name
you.
is Michael Davis, for the board members that don't know me. I'm a senior planner at Higher Gruen Associates. We are the township planner. We've been doing affordable housing work for the township for the last several years. And basically, the result of what is in front of you today is an amended housing element. Back in January of last year, the state updated the affordable housing regulations across the state, and basically the fourth round established the fourth round from 2025 to 2035, and required that all municipalities develop a housing element and fair share plan, which is the document in front of you. This is a portion of the master plan, and this document essentially plans out the affordable housing obligation for the township for the next 10 years. That statutory deadline was back in June. That this board adopted a housing element and fair share plan in accordance with the regulations. And I can tell you that We received two challenges to the plan, but I can tell you that of the roughly 450 plans that were created in the state, Fair Share Housing Center challenged 430 of them, roughly. So it's not uncommon that these challenges come about. So essentially what happened was the challenge was filed. Myself and the Township's Affordable Housing Council, Tara St. Angelo, met with Fair Share Housing Center and the program judge to kind of discuss the challenges and how we could amend this plan to address the concerns of the challenges. The challenges didn't really go very far, and we didn't really have to drastically change our plan, so I'm going to kind of provide an overview of what has changed since the plan that was adopted in June, and then if there's any questions, I'd be glad to address those. So essentially, the third round plan, a lot of you know, is the overlay zoning for the Larison's Corner and Ringo's overlays. We had those in the third round plan, and that we had bonus credits in there for those projects. Those projects never came to fruition yet, so basically Fair Share and the courts were, you can't take bonus credits for something that isn't realistic and hasn't been built yet. And that's a fair argument from their perspective. So as a result of that, we had to increase the density on those overlay sites from 6 units an acre to 7 units an acre. So not a drastic change, but definitely an increase in the overall number of units. And previously, those overlays were at 15% set-asides, and now they'll be at a 20% set-aside. 20% is kind of becoming standard throughout the state. Typically, it used to be 15% for rentals and 20% for family for sale. Set aside. So basically, if you have 100 units, that means 20 of them will be affordable. 15 of them will be
Be
affordable.
market
So
rate.
yes, and then the 80 will be market rate, and then that percentage will be affordable. So that's been increased from 15 to 20%, which is really becoming the standard throughout the state. A lot of projects are becoming 20% minimum set aside. So that's what changed in the third round portion of the plan. Additionally, there was an accessory apartment program that the township offered, but nothing ever came to fruition of it. So Fair Share kind of didn't really agree that that should be something we continue to rely on to provide affordable housing. So that was removed. As a result, the density increases on the Larison's Corner and overlay go from 87 total units to 87 total credits to 129 total credits, eliminating the accessory apartment program. And then additionally, on the nothing has changed with the new proposed overlay zoning that was included in the original fourth round plan. We had proposed overlay zoning on block 22, lot 1, to provide for 25 affordable housing credits to address the fourth round need. And again, all of this ties into the fact that we really have a lack of water and sewer. We take what's called a durational adjustment in East Amwell because where would 100 units connect to? Public water or sewer. It's just really unrealistic to expect that. So essentially the durational adjustment, these obligations, these numbers never go away. We can continue to overlay zone and overlay zone. The obligations are never going to go away. They will just continue to compound over every round. So the next round starts in 2035. So we'll see what happens by then. And I think that, honestly, I say this at a lot of my boards, these plans evolve a lot over time. Applications come in and things change drastically over time. So this is basically the summary of kind of the overview of the changes to the housing element and how the Township of East Amwell will be addressing its affordable housing obligation. And again, this is all due March 15th. Everyone across the state is scrambling to get all these things adopted. So thank you for your time to come out to a special meeting tonight. I know that everyone has a lot of things going on right now, especially with the weather. We don't want to be here, but this is required, and we needed to get this housing element updated so that the governing body can then effectuate this housing element by adopting the ordinances that are required by March 15th as well. So I know that was a lot, and there's a lot of affordable housing jargon, so please let me know if you have any questions.
So, Mike, were you part of all the settlement discussions and such with court?
Yes, I don't think every single conversation, but I was on the hearings with
Like
them.
3 settlement conferences?
Yes, exactly. So
So what happened was the 2 challenges were filed by
one was by
SAFE
SAFE, and then Fair Share kind of joined into SAFE's.
Right, and so then this plan, as a result of settlement negotiations, was then reviewed by the judge number one, who's
Correct.
the program director judge.
Correct.
That's where things go first. And then after that, and it was on the recommendation of a special adjudicator. and
Correct.
a planner that was hired by the courts to
Correct.
review our plan, right?
Yep.
And then after that, it went to the Mount Laurel judge.
Correct.
For the vicinage in Hunterdon, which was Judge Menon.
Yep.
So he's approved that. So basically, the township filed the substance of this plan back in December, I believe it was?
Yes.
Okay, so it's gone through all these, channels already, so, and they've all approved it.
Yes, correct. We received, I think it was, we wished we got it earlier, but it was like February 12th when we received the final consent order, and here kind of the marching orders. Here's what you need to do to the housing element, here's what you need to do to effectuate the housing element, kind of the list of all the items that we had to do. So this has been vetted and reviewed, and the challenge wasn't really victorious. We essentially, our plan, and this is how we felt, that our plan addressed the Fair Housing Act of the state of New Jersey in an appropriate way, so that meant that challengers aren't able to come in and challenge
Like from the judge's order, it actually was dismissed.
They would, yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yep.
claimed, So that was good for the town.
Yep, so essentially that's really how the challenge went, and Fair Share was involved in it, and basically we were negotiating with Fair Share to say, hey, listen, we understand the bonus credits aren't really super realistic anymore, so that's why we kind of had to increase densities and rework a little bit of a few of the things, so. But overall, the plan is not drastically different from what you saw, kind of some increases in densities and moving around of units.
Thank you.
Look, Mike, it seems like there's been, and I don't know if it has any effect on this, but around this area, there seems to be a steady decline in population. Is this brought up with any of the planners to set
This
this up?
is a concern statewide that planners are planning for a large amount of units right now, and there is data out there that shows population decline relatively statewide. So I don't have an answer for you. That is really a question. We were given the fourth round regulations and told to run with them. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, that is a valid concern, I would say.
And then just to jump, I think even specific to East Amwell, we've had declines over the last decade.
Hmm.
My understanding is our obligation is based on a larger area.
The obligation is a very, very convoluted formula based on the regional aspects, regional components of population growth and change. It's based on non-residential valuation of land and what kind of factors that brings into it, and also vacant land and how much vacant land is available in the municipality. And that's one of the factors that does not help East Amwell, and that raises the obligation because there is so much vacant land. But again, when we go and do the housing element specific to East Amwell, we get to recognize that we don't have the infrastructure. We do not have the public water and sewer to support these kinds of massive projects that.
Which I would imagine would affect the
anticipated.
builder wanting to build something new here.
Exactly. So essentially, the thought is by the increasing, we had those densities set at 6 units an acre. The thought is that if you increase it to 7, maybe it becomes, those extra units make it more worth it for the developer to provide a package treatment plant, because those are not cheap, as we all know. So that's kind of the thought process behind it.
Mike, and vacant land does not include farmland?
It does. It's not as town friendly as you would think it is. A lot of the farmland, unless it's preserved farmland, then it's out. But there are large amounts of farmland that would be included in. And we evaluated the vacant land that was provided for East Amwell. We evaluated the criteria back in the last December and January when the numbers initially came out. There was an opportunity to review the mapping provided by the state to see if, because they were wrong in some places. I had municipalities where there was a warehouse development and they called it all vacant land because their mapping was land use data from 2021. And this project came online between that 2 years. So we did evaluate that, and there really wasn't anywhere for us to go. There wasn't any wiggle room. There wasn't any argument for us to lower the number here.
And the flexibility of this, if that vacant land becomes used for something else?
That's going to be something that gets addressed probably in the next round, and I hate to say it, but this is the way that they break up affordable housing is by round, and it's 10-year cycles, and this is really what the struggle of this was, is that we're planning until 2035, and we had about a year and a half to do it. So it was a real challenge to get everything wrapped up. There's likely gonna be changes, obviously, if, projects get developed and things change. Like I said, these are very, very fluid documents over time, and if we have to readjust, we'll have to do that at a later time. But again, this is the best plan that we worked with the governing body on previously, and this board has seen this plan before. And the third round is relatively similar to what it was, but again, these are requirements from Fair Share Housing Center, who the state and the judges rely on heavily, their opinions.
And if I understand you correctly, if we increase our, farms that are protected, then that gets taken off the board.
Correct.
Is that a credit loss?
No. So nothing will change about the number of units that are required right now, but it could potentially play into the future obligations for sure.
10 years from now.
Yes.
Yeah, and there was, when those numbers first came out, I recall Mike and his team going through those numbers. The township had an ability, had a pretty tight deadline to challenge those, and in the end, the township, I think, accepted them. So now that these obligation is accepted, we have an obligation to find a way to, make a plan to cover that obligation. Any other questions? No? May I have a motion to open to the public for any questions on this, on the amended land use plan for affordable housing?
So moved.
May I have a second? All in favor? We are open to the public for questions on the amended housing element and fair share plan. Come on up. Please state your name. You do not need to give us your address, just the area in which you live.
Bob Kramer on Van Luz Road.
Okay?
And just a couple general questions. Once we meet the compliance for affordable housing, I guess it'll be virtual until we actually build structures. Who ensures compliance? That's my first question. And then who defines what affordable is? And then, I guess a bit of a coattail to what Candace was bringing up, the definition of vacant land. But I think, if I understand, anything that's in farmland preservation does not get counted toward the vacant land. Is that correct?
I think that was what Mike
Yeah,
told us.
preserved lands would be excluded for sure.
Okay, so that, and I went into the East Amwell, Hunterdon County, tax maps. I couldn't find block 22, lot 1. Is it on the corner of Lowerson and Ringos Road? I couldn't find the actual plat layout.
I'm letting Mike have a
I can pull it up for you. I can pull up a map for you if that's helpful. I believe we have one attached to the housing element from June, but we didn't have it attached to this, so I can pull that up for you if that's helpful.
And then the last question is, though we don't have public water and or sewer, and that's really been kind of our defense. I've been here since the early 80s. Can we hide behind that or shield ourselves from that, or could we lie exposed to lawsuit that in order for us to be in compliance, we're going to have to build public sewer, public treatment plant?
I think that I can answer that one right now, if that's okay. So the durational adjustment essentially is what it's called for us to delay and delay and
Hey,
delay.
Mike, can you?
Oh,
follow
yeah,
to
of course.
I'll sit down, thank you.
So as of now, I guess I'll work backwards for those questions. As of now, there is no requirement for a municipality to install water or sewer. There are requirements that the municipality support an application from a developer who may come in, things like that. There are no technical requirements for the municipality to install water or sewer. I can't say that's gonna change over the next 10 to 20 years through state regulations, but it would have to be a state regulation for East Amwell to go and do something like that, I have to imagine. So I do know that that's a concern, and it's a concern of mine too, because East Amwell is a community that, as you can tell by a lot of the public comments that I've heard at this board before, this is how we want it to be. You know, it's a rural community, it's a farming community, it's been built on farming, its legacy is farming. So again, as these obligations come about, it's really hard to say what the state legislature is going to do down the road. This legislation was pretty startling and intense to come about, and make everybody do this at the same time. So that was a real challenge. I will go back to, does that address your question?
It does.
Perfect. I'll go back to who ensures compliance. There are a number of ways that they're doing this right now. So there was previously an online portal that was terrible. The Department of Community Affairs implemented a new online portal, which is barely better than the last one.
Terrible
It
minus
is
one.
terrible -1. And it's very disorganized. It's very difficult to input things. You have to put units in one at a time. So I have towns with thousands of units. So we have to pay an administrative agent now to go and spend weeks to plug in one unit at a time. And it's like, it's a little bit frustrating. But that is one of the ways that compliance is monitored. There are midpoint monitoring reports, which are required, I believe, every 2 years, 2 to 4 years, that we have to, the township has to submit to the state to say, hey, here's an update on the status of affordable housing projects within our town. Here's an update on the status of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund within our town. So those things are checked in at the state frequently, as far as compliance. And then defining what affordable housing is, that's a very good question. There are state regulations. It's called the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls, or UHAC is the abbreviation that you'll frequently hear. And that essentially, that was recently updated way after this legislation. So it was a real challenge. This model ordinance that we'll be reviewing later tonight for master plan consistency came out maybe a month ago. And they said, okay, now you have a month to get it adopted prior to March 15th. So that ordinance was based on UHAC, which sets income limits for the region. I believe it's 100 in Morris and Essex.
100 in Middlesex and
So
Somerset.
I was way off. See, you can see where I'm at. I'm all over the state. So there's housing regions. There are 5 housing regions throughout the state by counties. So that's the housing region that we're in, and we have to follow the UHAC rules for the income limits for that region.
What did you say was Hundred in Somerset and what?
Middlesex. Yeah, there's income limits for low, very low, and moderate income, according to average.
Yeah, I have not
It's a range
dove
of
into that
average
formula. Yeah.
incomes,
Yeah.
But you can, that's,
No, no
that's,
problem.
that's online, you actually can find that.
Yeah, and I can show that to you after this if you're curious. And the block 22 lot 1 mapping question, I think you guys have all seen that. I can show him the map after this just to confirm. I believe that was all, right, Mr. Kramer? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the public? Seeing no one else, with that objection, we are closed to the public. Anyone on this board have any questions? And if not,
I have a question.
yeah,
So who owns block 22 lot 1?
all of these are, to my knowledge, all of the properties are privately owned at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can provide a little bit of background on how we got to that property. There's a little bit of a discussion in the plan. I want to find it really quickly because it's helpful, but there was a methodology basically looking at properties that front on roadways, cutting out all preserved lands, cutting out all wetlands and environmentally sensitive areas. It's really not intended to be oh, we know who owns that property, we're gonna rezone it. You know, it's really supposed to be we're doing this with planning principles in mind. Fronting on a roadway was obviously number one.
Like there were parcels that were, like, went through neighborhoods, and we're like, or literally between two houses, and we were like, no, that's probably not a good place.
Yeah, so there was a lot of criteria that we evaluated to determine the most appropriate one, the most appropriate overlay zone.
And then if it's privately owned, is this something, does the town purchase this land, or it's just eminent domain?
Nope.
No,
Or, okay.
no, that property owner has the rights to
Sell
not
it to a
develop it
developer.
or sell it
Got it,
to a
okay.
developer. They could, the underlying zoning for that property is still in place, so nothing really is impactful to the property owner
Okay,
on that front.
got it, okay.
That's where we're kind of at the mercy of the market, right? We just have to set it up, set the table and hope that the market kind of
Okay,
fills
so
in and takes
the
over.
people can choose then, or would have the option,
Yeah.
to sell their land to a developer.
Yep.
Because of this, okay.
Yep.
And that's why it's being done through overlay zone as opposed to just changing the zoning, so
Okay.
that zoning underneath it still remains an option to the person that owns property or whoever they sell it to.
And then what happens if they decide to, preserve their land, or is that just something?
We would have to pivot at that point, probably.
probably
Yeah,
find
we
another
would
plan.
probably, we would, who knows how it would play out, but we would, if I found out as the township planner, I would have to advise this board to do something about it and amend the plan to address it, because at that point, then we're completely liable and we have not addressed our affordable housing obligation. The units don't have to be constructed, but we have to, the township has to have a plan for them and has to have ordinances in place for the units to be built. It's called realistic opportunity. That's the term that the court likes to use. So by rezoning these properties with the overlay zone, that creates a realistic opportunity for the development.
Mike, if nothing happens over the next 10 years, we just
Maybe we
are
do
gonna
this,
find
maybe
places
we
that
do
won't
this,
be built on.
we very well may do this again, Candace. I hope it's not me, though. Affordable housing work is, or at least they,
Really feel.
at least they give us another,
Make
a
sure
little
we
bit
send
more
them
than a
minutes.
couple years. Like, yeah, send it up to the
Just
state
kidding.
now.
Just kidding.
It's been a real challenge, and I'm sure Sharon knows that every planner across the state has been scrambling, and it's a rush. I mean, we received the court consent order from the court a little bit less than a month ago. And we had to draft all these ordinances, amend this plan, and all that, and it's,
So do you expect a run on tax credit programs, so like LIHTC, low income housing tax credit program? Are you expecting to see some counties where they've already used LIHTC in the past just use that to fulfill obligations, and whereas East Amwell, and I don't know how much to the extent Hunterdon County has used LIHTC, but certainly in East Amwell, I'm sure it's not
yeah,
a
it's,
widespread.
yeah, it's
tool.
not a-
So
it's not a
we're already
prominent
at a
program in East
disadvantage
Amwell.
'cause we don't have developers who've used the existing tax credit program, so
Yep.
we're kind of a new slate.
oh, it's
So
a
that's
complete
re-
challenge.
yeah,
And
it's really
when you work
tough.
with developers, they need funding.
Right,
These
and
units, they're getting 20% of these units are going to be making a lot less money than a full market rate development would. So they offset them with grants and tax credit funding programs and HMFA programs, and all of those programs are more points if you're near an urban center, more points if you're near a bus stop, more points if you got a bike lane nearby, more points if you have, yeah, well, and it's like, these little things all add up to a more challenge for developers to be able to build here in East Amwell, because we don't have those strong connections and things that they're really trying to build up in urban areas. So,
Do we know how our new governor feels about all these things?
Okay, okay. We're bringing this back to here.
Thank you.
We're going back here. That requires wine and.
yeah,
Right.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay. Any questions on this plan? Okay. Oh, we have a resolution. Awesome.
Yeah, I have,
Thank you.
there's a resolution, it's pretty much courtesy of our affordable housing attorney, plus, myself.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you can pass it around, and, either or that, or I can just, go
I made
through
the
it.
copies, so they might as well look if they want, and then
And if you wanna
follow
hit the
along.
high points.
All right, well, the first part of it, it's just reciting the procedural history that we went through with the, adopting the plan and then amending it, going to court, that kind of thing. And then it states that, that the board held a public hearing today, and then our board planner testified, and, in general, and that, as to whether or not the amended housing, element fair share plan, addresses the met and unmet affordable needs, and is in part, consistent with the master plan, and the amended housing element fair share plan. And so then at the conclusion, the board would determine that the proposed amended housing element fair share plan is consistent with the goals and objectives of the master plan. Whoops, someone wrote Township of White here, that should be Township of East Amwell. Correction.
What happens when you borrow?
Yeah, and that it will guide the use and lands in the municipality in a manner which protects public health, safety, and promotes general welfare, and that it's designed to, provide access to affordable housing to, meet the present or prospective housing needs in, accordance with the statute. So your resolution would be saying that you're approving and adopting the amended fourth round housing element and fair share plan, and so substantially the same form as attached here too. We provided if there was any typographical or grammatical errors, that they would be corrected, and then notice would get published, and then the board secretary sends a copy of this resolution and the adopted plan to the township clerk and committee, and also provides a copy of that to both the Hunterdon County Planning Board, New Jersey Office of Planning Advocacy, and then the township affordable housing attorney is authorized to take all actions required, because the next thing this has to do is file this with the court. Okay, and both the resolution and the adopted fair share plan.
Thank you. If you want, I'll give you guys a second to peruse it. If you're ready, let me know and I will ask for a motion. May I have a motion to adopt resolution 06-2026, adopting the amended housing and fair share plan? May I have a-
moved.
Second.
Okay.
Who seconded that?
Right here.
Let's take a roll call on this one.
Yeah.
You have to.
Emily Deadweiler,
Yes.
Beth Hussein,
Yes.
Lance Latham,
Yes.
Mike McGovern,
Yes.
Rich Catenacci,
Catenacci, yeah.
Catenacci, Candace Wiggum,
Yes.
Pete Kineski,
Yes.
Jason Reed,
Yes.
Paul Payne.
Yes.
Okay. The motion is passed. Okay. So now, in order to effectuate this amended plan, the township needs to adopt two ordinances. So this changes our, I think it's an amendment to our land use plan. Can you give us a very brief one, either of what these ordinances do?
Absolutely. I can do them both at once because they're relatively related. So the first one, the Affordable Housing Ordinance, is a boilerplate template ordinance that was prepared by the Department of Community Affairs in conjunction with Fair Share Housing Center and a wide range of professionals, attorneys and planners throughout the state. Everyone put their heads together to get this ordinance. Basically what this does is update all of the requirements per the new regulations that came out. Very similar to how a ordinance comes out for stormwater and DEP gives you an ordinance that says update this. It's relatively the same thing. It contains all of the income limit requirements, kind of like you had discussed earlier. It contains municipal housing liaison responsibilities. It contains various different methods, extension of controls programs and things like that. Basically, updating all of the code sections that need to be updated per the new state regulations. And outside of that, there really aren't many changes. We tried to match it to exactly what the ordinance was previously. There's also a development fee section in there for non-residential and residential development fee requirements. Those haven't changed. We kept those the same. We tried to keep everything where it was for the most part. And that's really it. It's a relatively simple ordinance. There's a lot of definitions in there. There's clarity and call-outs to new legislation as opposed to call-outs to old legislation. I believe COA has been removed throughout. That was a big thing because COA is no longer in existence. It hasn't been for a while, but the term has still been used a lot, and this ordinance eliminates all of those kind of things. So it's really a statutorily required update, and it's a relatively basic template ordinance that we didn't change too much of, just customized to East Amwell.
And then the second one is just the overlay, right?
Exactly, and the second one is the ordinance that revises the existing overlay zones to increase them from 6 units to 7 units an acre, and also adds the additional overlay ordinance to Block 22, Lot 1, which is the 4th round overlay zone. And the standards for that zone are the exact same as the existing standards for the Ringo's and Larison's Corner overlays, because we just found that keeping the standards consistent for each of these zones is going to be a better idea for the township. That's really what these two ordinances are. And essentially the charge of the planning board is to review them for any inconsistencies with the master plan. And the master plan element that was just adopted a few minutes ago by this board is very consistent. These ordinances are very consistent, directly consistent with that plan. They effectuate everything that we had just discussed, and these will have to go to the governing body for second reading and final adoption.
They will have a hearing on this next week, but they will be looking to us to say whether it's consistent with the master plan change that we just made.
Can we do both at one time, same consistent?
I would do them separately, just to favor for that. But so, I mean, I hope, so the one ordinance is 2606, and that's the omnibus ordinance.
Okay.
So then maybe just capture something. on
Yeah.
that.
So, may I have a motion to find ordinance 26-06 not inconsistent with the master plan?
So move. Oh,
So Lathan one, who was second?
Second.
Lathan and McGovern?
Take the roll.
Emily Deadweiler,
Yes.
Beth Hussein,
Yes.
Lance Lothan,
yes.
Michael McGovern,
Yes.
Rich Catanacci,
Yes.
Candace Wiggum,
Yes.
Pete Kineski,
Yes.
Jason Reed,
Yes.
Paul Payne.
Yes.
So that motion. And then, second one, may I have may I have a motion finding ordinance 2607? This is the overlay zone changes. May I have a motion finding that not inconsistent with the master plan?
So move.
Second.
And
I'll second.
Pete?
Got it.
Okay.
Emily Deadweiler,
Yes.
Beth Hussein,
Yes.
Lance Lothan,
Yes.
Michael McGovern,
Yes.
Rich Catanacci,
Yes.
Candace Wiggum,
Yes.
Pete Kineski,
Yes.
Jason Reed,
Yes.
Paul Payne.
Yes.
That motion is adopted. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Mike. Thank you. Get some sleep, what, March 17th you're allowed to sleep?
We're waiting for the challenges to come next week.
Oh, God, don't even.
Jeez.
Don't even. Okay, so we don't have any adjournments or of any scheduled hearings. May I have a motion to open to the public?
So move.
And second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
We are open to the public for any follow-up questions or for any questions. Going once.
To recap, this is just theory. It's a virtual plan. We don't have to have a building built that's vacant.
Correct.
We just have to have a plan in place. And if the economy determines that we have an influx of individuals needing housing, 20% of those need to be set aside for affordable as defined, and we're in compliance.
Yeah, only in those
In that-
prescribed areas too, so if you're building anywhere else, it would not be, no requirement for 20%.
Thank you.
Yeah, there was like a reasonable expectation of, yeah.
On the Larison corner, is there any regulation
Come on.
to?
Sorry, just because you're asking a specific question on this. You're the same person that came up before, right? No, just kidding.
I am.
Yeah, don't need to say anything. He's got you.
All right. On the Larison Corner overlay zone, is there any requirement for the entrance to not be on a main road like 202? Like, does it have to come off a Dutch Lane or, off a side road, or can it be off a main road?
I should jump on the microphone.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so these projects are really not designed to any specific standards yet, but they would be required to come to this board, submit an application, and if there were traffic concerns or anything like that, I can't say exactly where can't say engineering-wise exactly where the entrance or exit would be, but there would be the developer would be required to submit an application to this board, and all of these things could be discussed at that time, and the board members could weigh in, and the public would be able to weigh in, and if there was a concern about access on a certain road or a certain location, that would be something that could be discussed at the site plan and subdivision application meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I could just real quick add to that. On the solar farm, there was no
Let's not
plan.
discuss that. Let's not discuss that.
Oh,
That's
not
not-
on the agenda
It's
today.
not on the agenda. Sorry.
But the wastewater
I feel
and,
you.
the wastewater and well water has to be able to be confined to the acreage that's being set aside.
So they wouldn't be able to put any treatment plants on any property that they don't own or anything like that.
So this is all inclusive of the piece of land to have the housing, parking, and treatment and potable water as necessary.
Correct. So it will be an engineering challenge.
So one thing I just noticed, I pulled up the income limits. For
Yeah, the
by
UHAC,
household size.
yeah.
So we're in Region 3, right? 100 in Middlesex,
Yep.
Somerset. We have by far the highest median
Yep.
of all the regions, and so that does. I think that could be an extra incentive for developers, right? If they, I mean, not that they can dictate who's going to apply, but
Yep.
they could potentially get a much higher income tenant, and that can be a more lucrative property, and
Yeah.
so it could. And like property values are not necessarily low here,
Yep.
but
I think
it's-
there are, again, there are things that are
Pros and
attractive
cons.
for
Yeah, there are
development,
market
and then there are things
forces
that
that
are
could-
not really super attractive
yeah,
for development, so,
you know, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
yep,
but it's-
no,
yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions from the public?
I'm sorry, I have to ask one more. How was Middlesex, Hunterdon, and Somerset selected?
You need to go down to Trenton and talk to.
These are all state decided things,
Okay,
that,
so
and that's been that way for a while, it's not,
I
yeah.
hate to use the term gerrymandering, but there was a formula as to
Yeah.
how.
Those were calculated probably back in like round one, I would imagine, right,
I
Sharon?
think it was
Yeah, right,
1970s, yeah.
Yeah, like,
Purely innocent.
yeah, so,
No.
yeah, no,
I
this
know,
question,
it's like-
this is,
Good
there's a lot of,
question.
No, it's a good question, and but it shows you how much of this is not, it's coming from above, yeah. Any other questions for the public? Without objection, we are closed to the public. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Pete, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Catherine, can you take us down?
Record.
Broadcast?
All right.
7:45 is a record,
Hey.
I think.
Yeah.